Hey everyone, in this video I'm going to be tackling Peter McKinnon's tutorial of how to clone yourself. So in this tutorial, Peter McKinnon teaches you how to clone yourself in both video and photography using Premiere and Photoshop. So I started with the photography side of it, and let's take a look at how that went. The photography side of the tutorial was really brief. Peter even said in the video that he's doing it the quick, kind of messy, sloppy way, which is really good to kind of give you an idea, but I would have really loved to have seen some of the masking techniques to make sure that I'm doing it right, because I am relatively new to masking. So I did use the masking technique because, like I always do, I made it much more difficult for myself than I needed to. I did two different styles of photos, one of them where I was interacting with myself a bit more, and one where I wasn't necessarily interacting with myself, so it might be a bit easier to cut together, just to give me kind of a bigger range of like how difficult it's going to be. And it was really complicated because I'm still really new to Photoshop and I tried really hard, and I think it turned out really well. I think it just took me a lot longer than it might take some of you people, but that's okay. That's why I'm here. I'm trying to learn. So I was trying to think of a fun way that I could interact with myself in a photo that would be really interesting and not just like three of me sitting next to each other or something like that. So I decided to do a picture of what I do when I'm bored, I guess. So it takes place here on my bed because it's my favorite comfy place, and I've got a picture of me with my headphones on listening to music on my laptop, a picture of me journaling note ideas for videos such as this one, and then one of me just on my phone because I'm always on my phone. I'm pretty sure I'm on my phone in more than one of the photos. I had a lot of fun shooting these and trying to think creatively, and it took me a long time to cut them down to the ones that would best fit together, and I really wanted to make sure that there was some proportion there. So one of them I was really close up and one of them I was further away, so it was smaller, and then one was a mid shot, so it gives the eye somewhere to go to. The other one that I did was a bit sillier, but I wanted to challenge myself with something a bit more complicated, and that was to do a selfie with three of me. That was really hard to shoot. I could not figure out where to look because I had no real cues for the second ones, and I couldn't figure out how to pose myself with me not there. But I think it's fun. I think it looks kind of like I had fun, and I did. So I'll go through a bit of the process of how I actually cut them together, and I'll do some screen captures of that. Sorry, my phone slipped off my leg, that's what that was if you're wondering. And so we'll go through that next.
So in the tutorial, he mentions a couple of ways that you can go about achieving this result. So I'll show you an example of each of these techniques and let you know my thoughts on each. The first one is using just the erase tool, getting in there really close to yourself, outlining it, and then erasing out the background from each layer that goes on top of the base. Honestly, as you can kind of see, I found it a bit difficult. I am a bit of a perfectionist, and I found it really hard to just kind of go around it bit by bit and get everything right. I had overlapping and things like that. I found it incredibly challenging to get it to look right using this method. You can do it, as I said, you can do it this way if you are good at erasing smoothly. I'm not very good at it, so that is one of the problems with this, is it is messy. It does leave a lot of fiddly work. It does work, so it's not that it doesn't work if you just want to spend your time doing it. If you're not too nitpicky, or maybe you have a neater background, this could work really well for you, but I had a lot of trouble getting it to kind of look how I wanted it to look. That's pretty much it for that one. It should give you the result just from that, but you can go in and do any refining details or do any color correction, anything like that that you want afterwards. The other option is to mask out the person rather than erase around. I use the polygon tool for this. I know that you can use the pen tool. I'm not as familiar with it, so just for this example, I'm going with the tool that I know best. Make the outline around yourself, make it pretty close and pretty neat so that it all is around the same distance. That'll help you when you select and mask the image. When you finish outlining the image, you click on select and mask at the top bar. This will mask out the background of your selection and put it over any layers that are underneath it. Then you just fiddle with the settings on the side. So I like to feather the edges, shift the edge a little bit closer so there's less of it showing. Basically just fiddle with these till it looks how you want it to look. You do have to watch when you're feathering that it doesn't start to take out the image that you want. You can see here it started to take out the fingers. So I just raise up that contrast a bit and it brings them back. When you're all done, you just click OK. I like to layer via copy just to make sure that I've still got that background there in case I don't like how it looks. But if you're happy with how it looks, just delete that extra layer and work on the one that you've got. Obviously this one's still got some background, so I go through with the background eraser tool to take out that white. It is pretty good, but it's pretty tricky to get the tolerance right so that it's taking out only the background. So if you are having trouble with it, just go back to your normal eraser and erase out the edges there. This technique still involves erasing around the edges, but what I find is that masking takes out all of the rest of the background, and I just think it's easier in post to do the cleanup after you've masked rather than just to try to do the whole thing with a freehand eraser. I found the result a lot more satisfying. I think it looks neater and cleaner, and I feel a lot more in control of what's going on than when I'm trying to erase. The other benefit to masking is that you know that there's not going to be any leftover areas in the background that you have missed. So you're not going to export an entire picture and realize part of one of your hands is covered when it's not supposed to be. And I always worry about those kinds of things. I know that you can make the other layers transparent and look through them, but this just gives you peace of mind that that's not going to be there. That's a basic outline of the two ways that you can do this. Both ways have their advantages, both ways have disadvantages, but really it's just about what you feel, what you find the easiest to work with. I personally prefer the masking. I thought it had a better result for me, and I felt more in control of the situation and the way that the images looked. In this tutorial, I've layered it from the back layer and then everything on top of it one at a time. Doing my final one, I actually did it in the reverse order. It did take me longer, but I do believe that it's a neater result. You don't get that kind of green screen effect with the front person. You get the same shadows and everything. So yeah, it's just another way of doing it. I didn't really know which way was correct, and it was very time consuming, but that's how you learn.
So in the end, it was a really fun kind of a thing to shoot and to work on in Photoshop and to get my skills up to scratch. I really enjoyed Peter's tutorial on this, even though it was a bit light on the masking side. I'm sure he's covered it in many other videos, but it's a really cool skill that I've always kind of wanted to know how to do, and now I do, so that's awesome. I will be posting the Clone Myself video tutorial attempt shortly. I just have some finishing touches to go on that one, so it shouldn't be too much longer. If you enjoyed watching this video, please give it a big thumbs up. If you're interested to follow along with my adventures in videography, photography, and tutorial recreations, then please subscribe and comment if you have any suggestions, if you like the video, if you want to chat, I don't know, just chuck me a comment anyway, and hopefully I will see you next time.